We've made it to another Friday live Q&A here with Dr. Bingle and Piggy. I don't think you can see Piggy on Instagram. You can definitely see her on all of the other platforms. Where is Piggy? Can you guys not see her? Oh, there you go. You can see her. Yes, she's back there taking a nap, snoring. I'm sure she'll interrupt. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to come on in, take a little sip of my latte this morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh, I have a couple things I'm a little fired up about today. So a couple things I want to open with and share just for thought, just for you guys to think about. I'd love to get your feedback on. We are doing live Q&A, so you can certainly start throwing questions down and I'll start rolling through them in a minute. But I was reading, a friend of mine sent me an article yesterday, I think it was. Good morning. Thanks for saying hello. Anyone over there on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn? If so, give me a hello, okay? Tell me you're out there. If I have any tech issues. I see Instagram's running, so that's good. So I had a friend send me a article yesterday, and it was talking about how Gen X, which is me, I guess, and probably many of you, how the incidence of cancer is significantly on the rise. Higher risk for 17 different types of cancers. Right. And they went into this talk about why. We don't understand why. And at the end, they're like, we think it's probably something environmental. Right. Right. So I start looking at, so let's talk about this. Why would cancers be on the rise? The majority of them are estrogen related. I think the top ones were like endometrial, ovarian, they were also including the pancreatic, kidney, and small intestine. So people who were born in 1990, okay, so that's not Gen X, is it? That's millennial. The risk of developing pancreatic, kidney, and small intestine cancers was 2 to 3 times higher than those that were born in 1955, right? So I start to look at, well, why is this? Right? You know, I'm going to bring up stress, but also toxins, right? Environment. What has happened since the 1950s? With us, we've had this amazing healthcare, boom of all this technology and all these amazing things, yet we're sicker and sicker than we've ever been. Why is that? Anyone want to take guesses? Want to throw some stuff out there? Good morning, Steve. How are you? Good to see you. So I look at it and I say, okay, and this is the other thing that's got me fired up. These kind of tied into each other is I've been dealing with the medical system, the conventional medical system as it's set up, HMO style type scenario in the past 2 days. And it's so frustrating because the world is set up in the medical community to wait until you're sick and then treat you, but make you wait. And, there's no focus on preventative medicine. So I was reading this article and they were talking about, okay, millennials and Gen X are at higher risk of 17 different cancers. And then they start to go into, well, why, right? So they say gastrointestinal and colorectal cancers in particular are really on the rise. And they say, we don't know why these are increasing incidence, but we believe it's likely due to early exposure to environmental factors. Well, my friend also sent me a study right behind it, which was in the American Association for Cancer Research journal, talking about, it's called Stressing Out Cancer. Chronic stress induces dysbiosis and enhances colon cancer growth. And it's a whole article about how stress has contributed directly to the increase of colon cancer. So once again, I'm going to go back to this passionate part of me that's been dealing with the conventional medical system that says they're doing preventative things. How many of you have a program set up by your primary care physician that addresses the stress on your body? I'll wait. Anyone? And I'm not talking about those of you that are working with functional medicine or naturopathic physicians or integrative physicians, because we do put a plan out for that. I'm talking about you go under your insurance, you go to your annual PCP, particularly those of you that are on Medicare, or in this case, the one I've been dealing with is the VA, right? How many of them actually put out a plan for you to address the stress on your body, right? Yet they say, oh, get your preventative, mammogram, get your preventative vaccine, get your preventative appointment, get your preventative EKG. But it has been 100% linked, and this isn't the only journal. This is just one example. 100% linked to stress. Stress causes cancer. Yet, what are we doing? So here's the thing. Here's the thing that's a bit sobering. And the reality is, and I'm going to say it, your primary care physician doing all those tests is not what's going to prevent cancer. What's going to prevent cancer is what you do right now, today. What you choose to do with your lifestyle, with the way that you interpret stress, with the way you let stress affect you, with what you eat, with how you move, with where your mindset is. There are documented studies. I think this one was particular to colorectal cancer as well, that those with a more positive, relaxed outlook have higher survival rates from cancer, right? So the key does not lie in more preventative tests. The key lies in you minimizing toxins in your environment, minimizing stress, taking the lead on your healthcare. What was the most sad for me this week, and it may make me emotional because it really hit a chord with me, is this particular person that I'm trying to help did everything in their 60s to lay everything out, to make sure they had long-term healthcare insurance, to make sure that they had coverage for when they needed it, for when someone needed to sit with them 24 hours a day to administer morphine so that they could pass, one, not alone, and two, gracefully and with dignity. And here's that moment where I'm trying to call as a power of attorney to implement the benefits that were supposedly set up, and we're fully set up, and can't get them. Being put on hold. Oh, don't worry about it. We'll just let him stay alone. We'll figure it out in the next day or two. That's unacceptable. Why do we go through so much effort in creating a will, assigning a POA, laying out all the insurance benefits, doing everything that we can to prep so that our loved ones don't have to go through what I'm going through right now, don't have to go through this process, and we're told we're taken care of, and this is that, and it's all on the documentation, but when it's called to be implemented, it's just met by delay after delay after delay. We can't rely on the current medical system to protect us or keep us from these chronic diseases and end of life. We can't. We have to do it ourselves, and we have to start now. Particularly in this generation that this is talking about, the millennials and the Gen X, we're still mostly well to be able to make these alignments, to make these changes. When you make a change to your health, you make a change to your diet, to your movement, and you commit to it, it will have an impact on your health in the long term. It will. And that's a certainty. And the only person you have to rely on for that is you. That's it. You don't have to rely on anyone else to do that. You get to do it. That's something we're leaving to me. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm actually in control of this. I don't have to rely on somebody else to tell me I'm healthy. I can do it myself. I can manage what I eat. I can manage what I put in my body. I can work out every single day. I can get all my ducks in a row. But there's only so much. Like, I have to prolong my life as long as possible in a healthy way. Have anyone else gone through this? Just, I know many of you guys are in the same age range I am, right? And we're taking care of children, and we're taking care of parents, and we're taking care of people, and we're stuck in the middle, and we're doing all these stupid exams and going in for our annual exams and this and that, being told we're fine. My dad went to his cardiologist 1 month before he had a massive stroke and it took his life. And the cardiologist said, great, your numbers are great. Your EKG is great. See you in a year. There was no conversation. Maybe he said, make sure to eat right and exercise, but there was no program laid out. There was nobody that taught him the importance. There was nobody that helped him change his mindset to motivate him to want to get well. What's the number one thing that's stopping you? I know some of you that are in the audience right now, I can see your names. I'm wondering if you're going to answer this question. What's the number one thing that's stopping you from being, quote, healthy, from following a diet and exercise? Anyone want to speak up? I'm going to read some comments. I'm going to give you that one. This person says, hi, Amanda in the UK here. Hi, Amanda. How are you, hon? All I'm told is to get the flu shot when I was only interested in my annual blood work, right? So no one's going to answer. All right, motivation. How many of you have a lack of motivation? How many are like, I know I need to work out every day, but I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't go. Anyone? I mean, I suffer with that. I have to force myself to go. Michelle, thank you. Yes, lack of energy and lack of motivation, right? But the odd thing is, Michelle, that if you motivate yourself to go, you'll get more energy. So we blame low energy for this, right? But it's really low motivation. So what if your doctor actually helped motivate you to want to get well? What if your outlook on getting well wasn't a bummer? What if you saw the benefit in exercise, right? What if you wanted to take care of yourself? So I think a lot of this comes down to we've been programmed that we're fine, even though we don't even realize it. We're fine until we're not, right? And there's no treatment for low energy, right, Michelle? I mean, obviously you call me up, I'm like, ooh, we can do all sorts of things, right? I get all excited. But when you go to your doctor and you say, well, I'm low energy, they're like, oh yeah, that's normal. Yeah. Well, let me make sure you get your mammogram and your EKG and your flu shot, and then you'll be fine, right? It's freaking ridiculous. And I feel even more for the seniors because in Medicare doesn't even, it just breaks my heart. They always ask, I think I told you guys this before. I was speaking to someone and he said, what pisses you off and what breaks your heart? What breaks my heart more than anything is that you have somebody who really, truly wants to get well, but doesn't have the tools to do so. They just don't know what to do. And they go to their doctor and their doctor offers them absolutely nothing because their insurance won't cover it, or because it's too much time, or they just dismiss it and people get gaslit. And guess what? Then your body continues to lose energy production. Then you end up with low energy. Then you have low motivation and low energy. And nobody's there offering you the tools to teach you that. And that pisses me off. And it breaks my heart even more than anything. Truly breaks my heart. Courtney says me. Yep. Kelly says motivation. Michelle says my heart doctor said to continue doing the treadmill and stop dairy. That is it. Well, I like the stop dairy part. That's a random one from a cardiologist. But yeah, just walking on a treadmill is not enough, right? So let's go back to this just for a second. Just food for thought. I see questions. I promise I'm coming to them. If you are like, I don't like this conversation, just say you're not into it. Are you guys into this? Can I keep going for a second? So they know, particularly in cardiovascular, that stress worsens cardiovascular disease. We know, documented, that stress causes cancer, right? We know, and it's well documented, that people say we need to work on our mindset and our emotional health because that's what's causing disease. Yet, when you go to the cardiologist, they're still stuck on the 1940s model of, well, just exercise every day and you'll be fine. Just eat right. Maybe cut out dairy. Maybe do a low carb. No resources, no understanding as to why. Yet we know that mindset is probably the number one thing that has to shift for you to get well. It's the number one thing. Nothing, no mention of it, right? Just get on the treadmill, you'll be fine. Well, guess what? My dad got on the treadmill and he had a massive stroke that put him into a coma, and we had to pull the plug 3 months later. And by the way, nobody gave us any information. Is he going to get better? We don't know. We'll just watch. Well, what happened? Well, he had a stroke. Well, is there anything that, we can do? Is there any out of the box ideas? Oh no, he's fine. He's got to wait. Okay. And the only way to let him go was to let him starve to death, which was horrible, right? And we get put in those situations and we have to make these decisions. And at that point, it's too late because your hands are really tied. Like my hands are tied in the situation I'm in right now. I am at the mercy of the VA. That's it. And I have to do what they say, even if it's delaying care, right? Because once you get to that point, once you're in that state, You can't do anything else, right? So you try. I know all of you out there, you're all type A, you're gonna get everything lined up. Make sure you have all your stuff laid out. I mean, I have my will, my kids know where it is, right? I think I've set myself up. But one of the best things I'm doing for myself right now is having the mindset of health and trying to stay as healthy as possible, as strong as possible, and not focus on the little stuff, not focus on the 10 pounds I've gained, not focus on, all the negative things around me, but focusing on what can I do to positively impact my life mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? So just a little food for thought. If you're one of the people that says motivation is an issue, reach out to people that can motivate you. In my practice, I have an accountability coach, and she's awesome. When we do the program, I have a program coming up, by the way, September Total Energy Turnaround Program. Keep a lookout for that. But we include accountability calls every single week, right? Between myself and my accountability coach, we hop on, we help motivate, we try to figure out where the blocks are. We really try to help you get the tools so that you can do this yourself, because you can't rely on a doctor, right? Even me, I can teach the tools, but I can't make you do them, right? I mean, I've seen that throughout my entire career. I've had people that I've given them everything they need, but if they're not going to do it, then they're not going to get any better, right? So then I'm not much help to them, right? Doctors' jobs are to give you the tools to be well, to give you the technology, to give you the information, to support you, to encourage you, to motivate you, to help you see what it feels like to feel good. I always thought for years that I felt good. Like, people would say, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. I'm good, right? I mean, I was 20, 30, of course you're going to feel good, right? It wasn't until I didn't feel good. And I don't even know that I really realized how bad I felt until I feel as I do now. And now that I've taken those steps towards committing to my health, I feel so much better than I've ever felt in my entire life. And I'm not kidding. Like, go back teens, 20s, when you're like, oh, I had all the energy in the world. I have so much more energy now, and I'm 48. So much better sleep now, such better skin, such better outlook, better muscle mass. Like, these are things that I have at 48 that are so much better than they were back then. But I didn't even know how bad I felt until I committed to myself. So it is 100% possible to feel great in your midlife time. It is 100% possible to prevent disease. And anyone that says they can't is lying. We can. You can. Not me. You. Right? So use these times. I'm going to open up to questions. Use these times to ask questions. I'm here to help educate on anything that will help you make a commitment to yourself, because you matter and you are important and your health is important. And we have to be our own advocate. That is how we prevent cancer, cardiovascular disease. That is how we prevent pneumonia. That's how we prevent viruses from taking us down. We have to be mindful. We have to give our body the opportunity to heal. And that means we got to get away from that darn bear we run from all the time. We have to learn how to put ourselves into a healing state. There's a frequency you have to be at to be in that state. And I realize I'm a lot of energy and I go fast and people are like, you're not relaxed. I can tell you right now, I'm so relaxed. I am in my high frequency. I'm just passionate because, I mean, this is just, nothing gets me even more. I just was speaking to someone else who is celiac and had to get a compounded medication or something, and called all the pharmacies, and they were like, oh, we didn't realize there was gluten in that. Gosh, I don't know what the answer is. And I was like, are you kidding me? Compounding pharmacies. I mean, I have a great relationship with one here in Phoenix, so I've never really experienced what it's like anywhere else. I mean, the one here will do anything, and they're 100% familiar with how to make something gluten-free and lactose-free and no additives and preservative-free. But the fact that a compounding pharmacy somewhere would have no idea how to make something gluten-free for a celiac is absolutely unacceptable. Like, celiac's been around forever. So like, little things I'm finding and the hassle that she's had to go through to advocate for her own self. And thank God she knew to ask, because luckily I was able to educate her on that. Hey, medications have gluten in them. You have to ask. And for the rest of your life, everything you ever put in your mouth, you're going to have to ask, you know? And if they don't know, don't eat it, including medication. So just little things, guys. Stand up for yourself. I just tuned in, so I don't know what you're currently talking about. I'm talking about how cancer is on the rise in millennials and Gen X, how, of course, it's environmental and linked to stress, and how our current healthcare system is not helping us prevent any of these things, and we need to be our own advocate. That's the summary. And a little passionate, because I've been dealing with a lot of stuff in my own life this week, trying to help others advocate for themselves. Happy Friday. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move into questions, but I'm still open to any of conversation on this. I hope this was helpful. And more importantly, I hope it motivates you to realize how much power you have. Tons of power. Yeah, tons of power. All right, let me jump into these questions, okay? And then keep the conversation rolling if you want. I love it. Okay, I think I got that one already. Let's look here. Hi, Dr. Pingle. For 3 years, my friend has suffered severe migraines for 4 to 5 times a week, nausea, dizziness, and headaches. Okay. Pop a question down there about it. Oh, vomiting, period changes, change diet, but no effect. Well, it's not just about changing the diet, right? I mean, okay. So let's say that you've been eating something. Let's just go with this diet thing, right? Because it's not 100% wrong, but let's say you've been eating dairy for years and it's caused an inflammatory effect that has caused a leaky gut, and that is causing headaches. Let's just put that out as a hypothetical, okay? And you remove the dairy. That's great, but your gut is completely out of whack. It's leaky, there's dysbiosis. It's probably had an impact now on serotonin levels. It's probably had an impact on hormone metabolism. It's probably had an impact on liver and detoxification. So it's great to remove the offender, right? You can remove toxins from your environment, which you should. You should alter your diet when you have things like that, but you have to also heal the internal stress. So let's have a little conversation about that. Is that cool? Because I think this will apply to some of the other questions I see as well. We have external stress and internal stress. So the external stress is what we all are familiar with. Like the crap I'm going with my family, or like, you know what external stress is. It's everything that comes at us that isn't always necessarily within our control, but we can control how we internalize that. But whenever we have a physiological stress response, we have cortisol that's firing irregularly, that has an impact on our internal environment. It has an impact on our microbiome. It has an impact on our nutrition, both directly and indirectly. Therefore, it also has an impact on the way we absorb nutrients, a way we detoxify through our liver. It has an impact on our hormone metabolism and how we control our thyroid and our sex hormones. It has an impact on how we restore our cells. It has an impact on our immune system, right? So all these things inside our body are being impacted from the external stressor. So in this particular example, in regards to migraines and stuff, let's say that dairy consumption was the external thing that was coming in and causing a reaction in the body. You can remove the external stressor, but if you don't repair the internal stressors and the fallout from that external stressor, your body is still stressed, so the symptom may not change. I see this all the time. My doctor told me to cut out caffeine. Nothing happened. I guess I can have caffeine. If the doctor told you to cut out caffeine and didn't repair the damage from whatever that was, it's not going to seem to make a difference. I hear it all the time. People love dairy, don't they? They love it. I'm a fellow dairy addict. I haven't had dairy for 20 years, but more than 20 years, but I was a dairy addict. So you can remove the dairy and not see a change if your body is severely inflamed, right? So if your gut is completely broken down, you can remove these foods that show up on your food allergy panel, but not actually see a reduction in symptoms until you actually heal the internal stressor. Can you guys give me thumbs up or hearts if you're following me? Is this helpful to you? Can you give me some feedback so I know if this is helping? So to answer your question, I'm sure you're looking for remedies for them or solutions for them on how they can improve their migraines. They have to look internally. The problem isn't external in entirety. The internal environment has been messed with. And keep in mind that headaches are highly tied into the serotonin dopamine system that is controlled in the gut. Dairy is damaging to the gut. Food allergies are damaging to the gut. Stress is damaging to the gut. It's the first thing that does. We have two different nervous systems, right? Fight or flight and rest and digest. Our body can't do both equally. Got to pick one. And the body's going to pick to run from the bear. So I can guarantee you that whoever this person is, their gut is a mess and needs to be looked at. And it is 100% repairable, but it needs to be looked at. And likely their adrenal system is shot or irregular. I got a heart, or I got a smile. Okay, good. Good. Your top is super cute today. Thank you. It's very hot here. I'm very summery today, aren't I? All right, let's see. I had a question over here. I'll come back to Instagram in a second. Keep popping those questions down, okay? Hot fire. I like it. I love that I get cues on Instagram, and all of you over here on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn just have to put comments. I can't see cool little hearts or anything. Such a bummer. That's okay. Hopefully you guys are with me. All right. What are your thoughts on mammograms versus thermographs? Okay, so mammograms, there's a lot of risk to them. There's a lot of benefit to them. I mean, you could argue both ways all day long. It really comes down to what you're comfortable with. There is a new technology. Well, it's not really, I mean, it's an emerging technology that I'm really loving called QT imaging. If you don't follow Dr. Jen Simmons, you should. This woman is like leading this mission to bring QT imaging to every single state, which she should do. And we should all support her and get this out there. I'm going to tag her in this because how far in are we? I'm going to tell her. I don't know how far are we in, about halfway. About a half an hour in, 20 minutes in. QT imaging is a way to get more sensitivity than a mammogram without radiation. So the reason why a lot of people would pick a thermogram is because they don't want the radiation effects of the mammogram. Fair point, okay? Especially when you're trying to talk about cancers where we don't want to put, we don't want to danger our body further, right? So obviously radiation is an issue. But thermograms only have so much sensitivity. It doesn't tell you what it is. So yeah, it'll tell you the area is hot, but then what? What do you do with that, right? You have to get now further evaluation. So QT imaging solves this problem, and that's what I would do too. If you're wondering what that is and if it's offered in your area, if you go to qtimaging.com, I believe you can look up the centers that are already doing it, and follow Dr. Jen Simmons, because if she's going to announce new places and new things, she's the one to follow on that. She's freaking amazing. And I have a podcast with her coming out soon. Hopefully that'll be released. She's great. But so as far as which one, it comes down to certain situations. Right now, if you don't have access to QT imaging and you're someone with a high risk of breast cancer, I'm not certain that a thermogram would catch it. But I wouldn't over mammogram either. My biggest concern comes down to biopsies. The minute that they see something on a mammogram or even a thermogram, the first thing they do is want to biopsy it. I want to eliminate that. And that's where the QT imaging comes in. It can tell you whether it's cancerous or not, without having to squish your boobs really hard and stick a needle in your boobs, because nobody wants that. So that's my thoughts on those. Let's see. Okay. I have lots of arthritis. My back is in pain. My knee and my thumb is also hurting from poking people, as I am a lab assistant all day taking blood from patients. Okay. And what is your question? I got your history. What's your question? Let me know. Okay. I'll come back to it. I promise I'll look for it. Oksana, it looks like. Tell me what the question is from that. Super awesome. Thank you. Oh, good. For the migraines? Good. I'm glad. Do you know anything about ozonated olive oil for skin gums? I don't. But I do. One of the best things that I've implemented in my own health and my family, plus many friends and patients, is really looking at your tooth care products. How many of you still use Crest or Colgate or whatever for your teeth? And mouth and Listerine and things like that. Those are horrible for your gums. Horrible. Highly recommend moving to a better toothpaste. There's a couple I love. Risewell has one. I believe if you use a code PINGEL10, PINGEL10, it'll give you 10% off. If you do a subscribe and save, I don't think it works, but if you just want to try it once, Risewell toothpaste is a great one. I also love Primal Life tooth powder. I don't have a code for that at the moment. I should probably get one. I should get one. We should work on that. Brenda, you out there? Can we get a code for Prima Life to give people discounts? Those are two of my favorites. When I stopped using those traditional toothpaste, my gum health was so much better. When I go get my teeth clean now, it's such a breeze. There was so much inflammation and tartar development from using those crappy toothpastes. So I will say the products you use are really important. But I have not used olive oil. I have had people talk about using coconut oil and coconut oil pulling in the mouth, which people get great results from. You use wellness toothpaste. Yeah, WELLNESSE, another good one. Okay, Dr. Pingle, my husband has been on an acid blocker for 23 years and now has osteopenia, spine fracture, and loss of function of his bladder. Just uses catheters. How do we reverse the osteopenia? This is a great example of the education that could have been provided to him from the practitioner when he was put on acid blockers about what will happen ultimately with long-term use, which is osteopenia. So for those of you that have just, I'm going to answer your question, I promise, but for those of you that have just started acid blockers or have been on them, I want you to listen to this, because sometimes you have to use them, but you need to be repairing the gut and why you have the problem in the first place. Because if you don't, you're going to be on these a long period of time, and osteopenia and osteoporosis is an absolute outcome from long-term use. I don't know if he's been taking minerals and doing the exercises, building muscle mass, building bone health physically for 23 years to try to prevent this. I don't know. Ideally, he would have. Maybe he hasn't. Because those are the things, it's more trying to make sure that the bone matrix has the minerals it needs to regenerate, and to have the, and be in a reparative state for the body. I'm going to guess because he was on acid blockers so long that perhaps he was in a stress state or fight or flight most of his life. So the body has downregulated normal digestive function. So I would say that doing the 4 pillars that I use, I do this in my program. Check out the upcoming program for sure, where we go through proper nutrition, movement, supplement, and mindset. In this case, the supplements would be a bit more expansive than simply adrenal supplements. In this case, there has to be a really good mineral supplement. My total mineral is pretty good. I think you said you're in the UK. So I will be, oh, by the way, my store is being moved to a platform in the upcoming months, which will allow me to ship internationally. So for those of you that have been asking, I'm doing it. But really making sure that the mineral has like boron, strontium, manganese, magnesium. This isn't about calcium. I'm going to say that again. This is not about calcium. This is about the little trace minerals that are needed to build the matrix. And this is not about calcium. Calcium is a very small part of this. And having the proper nutrition and allowing the body to heal and healing up the gut. Do I know if it can be reversed at this point? I don't know. Are these measures hopefully going to prevent further decline? Hopefully. I do have an article, I think, on this too, on bone health. The other person to look into, check out Kevin Ellis, the bone coach. I need to tag Kevin and Jen on this so you guys can follow them. The bone coach has a lot of online programs for building bone health. He himself has reversed osteoporosis in himself. He's a really cool dude. I just don't know if being on the medication is going to allow those measures to occur at the rate at which you want. I just don't know. Does that help at all? Did I help at all? It's hard. When it's due to a medication, it's so hard, right? But this is stuff we need to know when we get the edit. Like, it should have been like, okay, here's the pros and cons of this. Not, hey, take this med. It'll help get rid of your heartburn. Take care. Which might be what happened. I don't know if that's what happened. That's what happens to most of my patients when they come to me. They're like, oh, I was told to take this because it'll help my acid. Okay, but did they talk to you about the other things you have to do to prevent the side effects? No. Why not? Why are we having this conversation? Are things like toast and Lara bars not a good breakfast choice? What do you recommend for breakfast? I don't think they're a good breakfast choice. because what we need is a variety of proteins. Those are just a carbohydrate fuel, right? So, I mean, there's times where you may just want to do carbohydrates if you're a serious athlete in training and things. I'm not going into the mechanics of athletic training, but in a general person, you want to have protein with that. There's no protein in that, right? There's also a lot of issues with the grains in America. So sometimes toast now isn't what toast used to be. So really being mindful about what grain you're putting in. I personally only do gluten-free. I'm very picky about what I do as far as toast or grains. But you need to have a protein in there. We need to have a fat in there. We need to have a well-rounded understanding. Let me tell you why. There are different ways that we produce energy. So how many people out there say that energy is an issue? You're tired, right? And you want to get well so you have better energy. Anyone? Right? I'm sure it's a delay. I'm sure many of you are like, yep, I want more energy. Give it to me. What do you got, Dr. Pingle? In order to do this, we have to feed our body what it needs to produce energy. Our body's product is energy. That's what we do. We make energy, and we make energy to do something else. So when you're like, oh, I really need my thyroid managed. Well, guess what? We need energy to do that. Not just physical energy. Like when I say energy, you probably think like laying on the couch, running a marathon. I'm talking about energy biochemically. We need energy to produce things, to do things for us, to build bone, to manage our thyroid. We need energy, right? And in order to get energy, and we have to do those things first, and then whatever's left over gives us that abundance of energy where we're running around doing everything, right? So we have to feed our body and its biochemistry first, and then it gives us the energy to keep moving forward. It's a metabolic thing we have to overcome. In order to produce energy, we need carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And we need them because they all provide energy in a different way. As Naya is saying here, she said, protein is what makes us feel full longer. Yes, it's also a slower production of energy, right? So it has a long lasting effect on the energy. Carbohydrates will give us a quick energy and we're up, we're moving. We get that with sugar. We get that with our, double frappuccinos with caramel, right? We think it's the caffeine. No, it's the sugar and the carbohydrate, right? That gives us this quick energy and then we drop. So the protein and the fats can help that energy sustain. Also, proteins and fats also help with the cellular health and muscle, right? So we need to really start to focus on what are those macros and not just reaching for quick things. Larabar is all natural. I'm not going to argue. It doesn't have preservatives in it. It's whole food. Okay, great. But it is all carbohydrate. I mean, there's nuts in there. There's some protein in there. I would argue not enough. Now, if you need to, there's times where I'll eat a Larabar. Maybe I'm traveling and I need a quick snack and there's not much available. Those can come in real handy to tide me over. But ultimately, I need a meal, right? So I don't think that's a great breakfast option. I would much prefer some sort of maybe a protein powder. So if you were doing, like I do oatmeal, if you can't do a grain like that, I add protein powder to that. You can do smoothies with protein powder. With toast, you could add some avocado. You could add an egg. You could add some sort of nut spread to it, right? There's lots of different options to try to get more fats and proteins in your breakfast. I'm not a fan of skipping breakfast because if you wake up and you want to drive somewhere, you have to put gas in your car. So we have this idea that we should wake up and not eat anything and then eat at dinner time before we're about to rest. There's no point in filling my car with gas if I'm going to park it in the garage. I want to fill my car with gas before it's going to move. So I actually think the opposite. And there's many of you that intermittent fast that say, whoa, Pingle. Look, I'm not arguing if intermittent fasting works well for you, but why is it breakfast that we skip? Why can't we skip dinner? Like, I don't get it. Explain it to me. If I want to go somewhere, I need gas. If I don't have fuel, I can't go. If I don't have fuel to feed my body, right, I can't do anything. I don't think women typically get enough protein. I agree with you. We don't, especially when we're in midlife. We need way more protein. I just had a conversation with some the other day. They want to lose weight. They're like, oh, maybe I'll consider semaglutide. I'm like, whoa, hold up. Have you even taken 3 months to give yourself proper protein, watch your nutrition, and work out every day and do strength training? And the answer was no. And I said, well, then don't run to the quick fix. It takes work, kids. It's hard. It's hard being this age. But you know what? It's also what's cool about, so one thing you might get with the semaglutide is weight loss, but you're not going to get the energy, right? You're not going to get the preventative health, the health benefits that we were talking about earlier to prevent cancer, cardiovascular disease, mental dementia decline. If anything, you may worsen that scenario. But if you commit to yourself, right, and you do what you need to do, you will benefit all of that and your weight. That's the way I'd go personally. Favorite smoothie recipe. So, hey, I have a lot on my website. I think I even have my favorite smoothie. I included on my programs, and I have a challenge coming up, guys, in the second week of September. It's already, if you want to sign up for it, I did put a link on my bio. If you want to read more about it, you can go and sign up. One of the bonuses when you get through the challenges, I'm going to give you a smoothie cookbook. But there's also some on my website. Was there another question over here on Facebook? No. Okay. Coming back to the arthritis, what should I do about the arthritis? I mean, there's a lot of questions to unpack with this, Oksana. So you were saying that you have a lot of arthritis and your job from leaning over and drawing blood all day is making it worse. So my question would be, what measures do you take to build the muscles and the core muscles to keep yourself upright and to protect your bones? Do you do daily exercise? Are you doing stress reduction? Are you giving your body proper nutrition and rest? Always start with the basics, guys. Always. So I could offer 1,000 different herbs. Like I could say, you could try turmeric for anti-inflammatory. I have a great one, Total Turmeric. You can go to Total Health Apothecary or go to my website and purchase it. It's Total Turmeric. That may help with the symptom. But what we always need to go back to are the foundations of health. If you haven't committed to those foundations for at least 3 months, and I would say 6 months, if you can commit to really working on cleaning up your environment, cleaning up your diet, focusing on movement, working on your mindset, supplementing your deficiencies, I promise you, you will get very far. And then depending on what's left, that's where these little tweaks come in. Like let's try adding, if your inflammatory marker is high, turmeric may very well help lower that inflammatory marker temporarily. But what's really going to do it is diet. So when it comes to arthritis, sugar is a bad one. Sugar will get you every time. It'll make your arthritis worse. I have a very good friend who has rheumatoid arthritis, tons of medications, told there's nothing else to do. We had a conversation a few years ago and I said, I want you to focus on your diet. She changed her diet completely. She eliminated anything artificial. She does only whole food. She does not do sugar anymore. And I think it was 6 months later, her symptoms had been improved by close to 90% just from that. And because she was feeling better, now she was able to start exercising again. And now it's even better. So the reliance on medications and supplements is not as needed if you're really focusing on those core pillars. So I would advise you to really focus on those core pillars. If you need help, I do have a program. I have my group program coming up, guys, and I will help you through it. For 8 weeks, we will meet. We will figure it out. But it's committing to those foundations. That's the first step. Okay. Do you drink tea or coffee brands you recommend? I drink coffee. I like tea. I really only do herbal teas. I don't do caffeinated teas really. I like green tea, but I don't need it after my 1 cup of coffee. I make my own coffee. I use organic coffees. I switch brands. There's one I'm going to try, and the name's not coming to me, and I'm going to be offering it on my new store. Why is the name coming to me? But I haven't tried it yet, so I'm not going to recommend it till I try it. But I love the literature on it. Is it called Flow? I think it's called Flow. Make sure it's a well-sourced coffee bean. Pay more for the organic, well-sourced coffee beans. Try not to drink too much of it. I'm not someone who drinks coffee all day. I have my 1 cup in the morning. And for me, there's a routine to it that's less stressful. I don't pound my coffee and go on with my day. I sit down and talk to my husband while I drink my coffee. And I talk to my kids and I make a routine of it. You can do that with non-caffeinated beverages as well. My body runs well on caffeine. I really do well with 1 cup. My body feels good. My numbers are good. My energy is good. It's not causing a negative impact in me. If it was, I would stop it. How can I improve? I think I answered the question on that. Check out my upcoming program for those pillars. And you can do that in any country. Okay. What are your favorite ways to de-stress? Dance. So here's the thing. So the last couple of days I've been dealing with this. I talked about it in the beginning, a little bit of this stressful situation with a loved one who's not getting the care he needs, and it's hard. And it weighs on me because it weighs on my soul, because I really don't like people to suffer. That's not what I want in life for people. And I was really feeling the stress. I've really been feeling the stress the last couple of days, and, you know, told my team, look, I'm not necessarily present here. I need people to take over some stuff for me. I'm going to do only what's necessary because I need to focus on the situation and I need to focus on myself. And there was a cardio hip hop class last night, and sometimes I go, sometimes I don't to that one. That one's kind of my optional. And I'll be honest, I didn't really feel like going. I really wanted to just wallow in my stress. And I was like, nope, you're going to go. And I have never danced harder. Oh my God. And I don't know where the energy came from to get through this class, because normally I'm exhausted by the end because he really pushes. And I was just, there must have been so much frustration in me that I just attacked that class last night. And I feel so much less stressed today. You know, I think we get all pent up with energy, and we just need to release it sometimes. So whatever can release it. That's my favorite way. Dance, music, and time with friends and loved ones is how I release stress. Thank you, Dr. Ping. It's Amanda. It's my husband. Can you take him on, please? Amanda, I believe you're in the UK, so there's only so much I can do. But you can always speak to my assistant, Angela. She can let you know what's possible or not possible at the moment. And you would have to apply formally to work with me. I only take on so many concierge clients, but they do have to be in the United States at this point for me to take them on medically. I don't have a license in Europe, so I can't practice medicine in Europe. But reach out to Angela. Angela will tell you what can or can't be done, my love. She is my total health advocate. She's amazing. But at the very minimum, the program is definitely an option. And I'm definitely involved in that. I show up, I give support. We do private group or, group Q&As just with a group, accountability. Some of the best suggestions I have is to always start with the foundation. So if you're trying to look for a way to start with these foundations and get a hold of them so that the body can communicate with you on what's really needed, so you can direct a physician on what to do, because unfortunately, you're going to have to direct your physician on what to do most of the time. The best starting point, guys, for all of you that are like, where do I start? Take a look at my Total Energy Turnaround Program. There is a wait list up. If you want to put your email on there, just click on the wait list. You will be notified when the card is open. It will be opening in September. You can definitely join in on the challenge as well, which is free. That is in September. So all of those are in my link in bio. Check them out, or DM to connect with Angela. She'll set up a call. She'll go over all the different options that I have. Just because you're not local doesn't mean I can't help you. It's just we have different options for where you're located, and all of them, guys, all of them come down to my 4 pillars, which I will help you with in all of these online programs. And anyone can do those in any location at any time. You can do it multiple times. If you're not a candidate for my medical concierge service, there are other ways that I can help. So let me help make that as a starting point. It's something you can do. Let me teach you. I would be honored. Okay. So, all right. Guess what, guys? It's 10 o'clock. My gosh. Yes, direct to your physician, right? So yeah, I had one quick question. I'm sorry. I'll try to hit these up quickly. C. diff in a 1-year-old. First of all, I'm not a pediatrician. I know some amazing naturopathic pediatricians that you should follow, Natural Kid Doc being one of them. Natural Kid Doc, I'll put hers down too. I know in adults we use Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a yeast, but it's essentially like a probiotic strain. Like I have it in my Total Probiotic, Saccharomyces boulardii, and we look at healing gut modalities. So really looking at healing the gut. How you do that in a 1-year-old is very different than you do in an adult. So I don't want to advise you on how to do that, because I can't say with complete confidence how to do that, but I can tell you there are options. So Natural Kid Doc's a great pediatrician to follow for sure. I don't know where you're located. What is the natural remedy for tendonitis in the heel? Red light therapy would be a great one. There's a lot of stretches you can do, physical therapy, a lot of exercises for that. Ice, letting the body heal is good. Okay. All right, guys, you guys are awesome. Thank you for being here with me today. And if this was helpful to you, please share it, like it, tag people that need to hear it. And my parting advice as I go off to fight as someone's advocate is be your own advocate. Take your health into your own hands. Don't rely on other people. Use other people to get information. Learn from those of us that are out there putting information. Let us guide you. But the ultimate person that is going to keep you well is 100% you. You. Put the nutrition in your body. Give it movement. Honor your body. Honor the process. Because guess what? Someday, the little things that you worry about today may not be relevant. And all of those little pieces that you put into your health bank along the way will make whatever this process is for you, whatever your life journey is, easier on you in the end. So take the time to honor yourself, take care of yourself, nurture yourself. You're worth the love, so do it. Okay? And if you want to inquire about anything that I do, please feel free to DM, go to my website, send in a message. We'll connect with you and we'll let you know what's available in your area. Okay. Much love to all of you. I'll see you next week. Bye.